Around the world, many believe some places exist only in Bible stories or legends. The truth is, many of these places are real and still exist today. And what's surprising is that there is evidence proving that these are real. Now, in this video, I will take you to places that are not only mentioned in the Bible, but also have ruins, mountains, lakes, and inscriptions that prove those stories really happened. From the cities that fell to the places where Jesus healed, walked, and taught. We will talk about all of that today. But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. This is a big help for us content creators. Thank you very much, and now let's get started. Caesarea Maritima. Caesarea is located on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, about 30 miles north of Tel Aviv in Israel. It was founded by Herod the Great, and to this day remains a vast and impressive archaeological park, a site that seems to invite you to revisit thousands of years of history. But beyond the beautiful ruins and massive stones, there is something in this place that literally strengthened the connection between the Bible and real history. For many years, there were people who said that Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who ordered the crucifixion of Jesus, might have just been a fictional character. They said there was not enough evidence outside the Bible to prove his existence. Until 1961, when archaeologists were digging, they discovered a limestone block, an old piece of stone that contained a Latin inscription. And on that inscription, the name was clearly written. Pontius Pilate, who introduced himself as prefect of Judea, he was not a legend, he was not an imagination. This stone became the concrete proof that the man who decided the fate of Jesus truly lived and ruled in the place mentioned in the Bible. And right here, history is already alive. Caesarea grew even more exciting after another discovery in 1922. Archaeologists believe that they may have discovered the very sections where Apostle Paul was imprisoned before he was sent to Rome to face his trial. In the Bible, only a few words describe this moment. You have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar, you will go. This is where it all began, a decision that brought Paul to the very heart of the Roman Empire. In this city, the first non-Jew was also baptized, Cornelius, a Roman centurion. Back then, many believed that the message of Jesus was only for the Jews. But when Apostle Peter visited the house of Cornelius, everything changed. There he realized the true message of God. Everyone matters, no matter their race, culture, or background. And right here in this very place, the door was first opened for the Gentiles, the non-Jews, to receive Jesus. But Caesarea Maritima was not only a witness to miracles and changes of heart, it was also a witness to a terrifying nightmare in history. King Herod Agrippa died here, the same king who had Apostle James killed. In a large theater that still stands today, games and celebrations were held to honor the emperor. But in the midst of the people's praise and shouts, Herod accepted worship as if he were a god. And according to the Bible, God did not let that pass. In an instant, the scripture says, Hezekiah's tunnel, the passage that saved the kingdom. In the south of present-day Jerusalem, there is a place that seems like a quiet waterway. But inside it, one of the most amazing creations of ancient times is hidden. This is Hezekiah's tunnel, a passage carved out of rock that still carries water even after more than 2,000 years have passed. It all began in 701 before Common Era, when King Hezekiah was ruling Jerusalem. At that time, the Assyrian Empire, the era's most terrifying and ruthless force, was approaching. As their army drew closer, Hezekiah knew that in just a few days, the city would be attacked. If they ran out of water, they would be quickly defeated. So he made a decision that was no ordinary decision. It was a step that would literally save the entire city. The Bible itself says that Hezekiah made the pool the conduit and brought water into the city. But as easy as that line sounds, what actually happened was just as difficult. Hezekiah's tunnel was dug without modern tools, without light, and with nothing to guide them except the sound of hammers echoing under the rock. And what's even more amazing is that two groups dug from opposite directions, hoping they would meet in the middle, even though they didn't know how close they were to each other. Centuries passed, and in 1880 something was discovered inside the tunnel that changed the world's understanding. An ancient inscription in Hebrew was carved into the stone. It describes the very moment when the two groups met. According to what was written, with only 3 cubits left before the two tunnels connected, they heard the voice of a man, a sign that they were about to meet. The meeting almost failed, but in the end, they succeeded in a miracle that happened in the darkness. If you look at the tunnel now, what they did is almost unbelievable. The slope is very gentle. It only drops 12 inches from start to finish. With that precise measurement, the water still flows to this day, 2,700 years after it was dug, and in 2023, carbon-14 data confirmed it. A scientific test that measures the age of ancient objects, confirming that this tunnel was built around 700 before Common Era. As stated in the Bible, this is an extraordinary confirmation that the story written thousands of years ago is not a legend, but history. But this tunnel holds an even deeper secret. The water coming from inside leads to a special place, the Pool of Siloam. That place was forgotten. After many centuries, Jesus performed one of his most well-known miracles there. And that pool has a hidden secret that we'll talk about in the next parts. So stay tuned. Before the tunnel existed, prophet Isaiah referred to it. You built a reservoir between the two walls for the old pool's water. It's as if the prophecy described exactly what Hezekiah would do, a tunnel that would save Jerusalem from the Assyrian attack, and later on would also witness a miracle performed by Jesus. Megiddo, the hill where kingdoms fell. In the northern part of Israel, there's a hill that seems quiet at first glance. But when you learn about the stories stored beneath it, it's like opening a book of thousands of years of history. This is Megiddo, also known in Hebrew as Har Megiddo, the most contested battlefield in the entire ancient Middle East. Beneath its ground, more than 25 buried cities have been discovered. Places that were destroyed, burned, and rebuilt because of endless wars throughout the centuries. But this isn't just an old battleground. Megiddo, the place named in the Bible as the site of the final battle, the famous Armageddon. From the Hebrew word Armageddon, the concept of the end of the world originated. This line is written in the book of Revelation. The spirits of demons gathered the kings at Armageddon. And this is where many began to ask questions. Why did God choose this place for that great event? When you look at the map of the ancient world, the answer is clear. Megiddo was like the gatekeeper of the most important road back then. The Via Maris, a highway that connected Egypt and Mesopotamia, two giant kingdoms of ancient times. When you control Megiddo, you control the movement of armies, trade, and wealth. In other words, if you control Megiddo, you control the world during that time. This is also where the very first documented battles in history took place. In 1457 before Christ, Pharaoh Thutmose III brought his army and defeated the Canaanites. The whole battle was recorded in Egyptian hieroglyphs, like a war report carved in stone. After many centuries, there was another king who dared to march on Megiddo, King Josiah of Judah. He tried to stop Pharaoh Necho II, but he did not succeed. Josiah died in battle as written in 2 Kings. In what archaeologists have unearthed today, you can see evidence of these battles. Arrowheads, fragments of Egyptian pottery, and seals used by the soldiers. Each piece proves that the stories in the Bible happened in real places and real times. And the discoveries don't end here. In 2005, something else was discovered that made historians very happy. An ancient place of worship for Christians. On its floor, there's a mosaic that contains the words, "To God Jesus Christ." This is the oldest Christian inscription ever found in the world. It was written in the 3rd century, a very important reminder even before the word Armageddon became known. As a symbol of fear, it first became a symbol of hope. Until now, many people still visit this place. They climb to the top of the hill, and from there, you can see a vast and flat plain that stretches as far as the eye can see. And when you stand there, you'll understand why Apostle John described in Revelation that armies from all over the world will gather here for the final battle. The view itself tells you that the end could begin here, Capernaum, the city that saw his wonders. On the shores of the Sea of Galilee, in a place now called Tel Ham, you can see the ruins of a city that was once a center of miracles, healing, and teaching. This is Capernaum, the city where Jesus performed more miracles than in any other place in all of Israel. In 1894, the Franciscans identified its exact location after they unearthed ancient inscriptions that mentioned Capernaum. Here, the image of a city began to take shape, a city that became the home of Jesus for much of his ministry, a place that became the heart of the world-changing spiritual revolution. But the question is, how did a city that witnessed so many miracles disappear? Underneath a marble synagogue from the 4th century, archaeologists discovered an even older synagogue made of black stone. And it was right here that Jesus taught. In that place, he said the words, "I am the bread of life." That statement is said to show that he alone gives true spiritual life. Coins and pottery shards from the time of the Second Temple were also discovered in the area. This shows the city was active and vibrant during Jesus' time. And this is where some of the most important stories in the Gospels took place. In Capernaum, Jesus called Matthew, the tax collector, to follow him. This is also where the paralyzed man was healed after being lowered through the roof, since the crowd blocked the way. In this same city, Jesus healed the servant of a Roman centurion. And at that moment, he was amazed at the faith of a non-Jewish man, and he said, "I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith." A very important discovery was found beneath an ancient octagonal church. During the excavation, they found a very simple house from the 1st century, a house that seemed to belong to fishermen. On its walls, the name of Jesus and old Christian symbols like the fish and the cross were carved. These are the oldest Christian writings found in the very place where the stories in the Bible happened. And according to many studies, that simple house was the home of Peter, one of the closest disciples of Jesus. Eventually, the house was used as a gathering place for the early Christians. It was like a small church hidden inside a home. And in that house, Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law. From there, he left with his disciples and went to the sea, where he calmed the storm that almost sank their boat. In Capernaum, he also brought Jairus' daughter back to life, a story that continues to give hope to millions to this day. In ancient times, Capernaum was lively and full of people. It had a paved street connected to the Via Maris, the major trade route that ran along the Mediterranean. According to Josephus, a Jewish historian, Capernaum was still surrounded by a wall during the Great Rebellion in 66 AD. But even though the people were this active and close to Jesus, he gave a warning that would not be forgotten. And you, Capernaum, will you be lifted up? No, you will go down to Hades. This means that even though they saw so much light, miracles, and teachings, the heart of the city remained closed. Because of this, he said it would face a major downfall. And it did happen. In 749 AD, a very strong earthquake struck the whole of Capernaum. It remained in ruins and abandoned for over 1,000 years. Today, visitors can walk through the archaeological park where the ruins of the ancient city lie. Nearby stands the Orthodox Church of the 12 Apostles, a memorial to Jesus' closest friends. And above the ancient house of Peter, there is a modern church where pilgrims can pray in the very place where Jesus lived with his disciples. Sea of Galilee, the lake that carried his voice. In the northern part of Israel, there's a lake with calm and warm waters, but full of stories that change the faith of the world. This is the Sea of Galilee, which is now called Lake Kinneret. It is about 650 feet below sea level, making it one of the lowest freshwater lakes in the world. Some of the most remarkable moments of Jesus' ministry happened here. Here he called his first disciples. Here he calmed the storm that almost sank their boat. And here he also walked on water, an event that is still retold again and again to this day. But there was a big problem back then. Even though there are so many stories about fishing during the time of Jesus, not a single boat from that period had ever been found. It was like there was a missing piece of the puzzle in history. This changed in 1986. Because of the severe drought, the water level in the lake dropped significantly. While the two fisherman brothers were walking in the mud, they noticed something unusual sticking out of the ground, a piece of old wood. They called the archaeologists, and that's where the unbelievable conclusion was formed. A boat from the 1st century, exactly the time of Jesus. This wasn't just any discovery, it thrilled the entire archaeological world. Using radiocarbon dating, it was determined that the boat is from around 40 AD. It is 27 feet long and can carry up to 15 people. And when you think about this size, the words in the Bible suddenly come alive, saying he got into one of the boats and taught the people from it. It feels more real, more profound. The researchers also focused on the area near the lake. An archaeologist discovered 16 ancient remains of a port around it. This shows the place was crowded during Jesus' time. Here he saw Peter, Andrew, James, and John, fishermen who left their nets when he said, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Even today, strong storms still suddenly appear on the Sea of Galilee. The winds from the mountains suddenly come down, turning the calm lake into a raging sea. This is why, when the story says a great storm of wind arose, the disciples were almost scared to death. Meanwhile, Jesus, calm as ever, was sleeping in the boat. And the boat that was discovered in 1986 is still there to this day. You can see it up close, not as a tourist, but as a witness to a story that has crossed 2,000 years to reach you. Pool of Siloam, steps where the blind saw. In Jerusalem, in a place called Siloam, near the oldest part of the city, you will find the Pool of Siloam, the place where one of the most amazing miracles of Jesus happened. He performed a miracle for a man born blind. He took a little mud, put it on the man's eyes, and said, "Go, wash in the pool of Siloam." The man obeyed, and for the first time in his life, he could see. For more than 1,000 years, a different small pool was believed to be the exact place of the miracle, until the unexpected happened in 2004. A water pipe burst while a sewer line was being constructed. While fixing it, the workers hit some buried stones, and suddenly a set of ancient stairs appeared. This isn't just any staircase, it's the Pool of Siloam monument mentioned in the Bible. They saw a trapezoid-shaped pool with 3 tiers, each with 5 steps. It's an exact match to 1st century accounts. During the excavation, they also found coins from Alexander Jannaeus, Pontius Pilate, and even from the time of the Great Jewish Revolt of 66 AD. All of this proves that the Pool of Siloam in the Bible is real, and it's in that exact location. This pool is very important for the Jews. During the Feast of Tabernacles, the priests would go down those steps to get water using golden pitchers. Afterwards, they would go up in a procession to the temple. The route of the pilgrims, called the Pilgrim's Road, connects the pool to the Temple Mount, and 1/3 of a mile of the original road is still exposed today. You can still see the marks of ancient carts on the stones, and Hebrew inscriptions that say, Yerushalayim HaKodesh, Jerusalem the Holy. Each discovery confirms that this is the spiritual heart of the ancient city, and in 2026, the entire site will be open to the public. People will be able to walk from the pool of Siloam to the western wall, on the very path once taken by ancient pilgrims, and possibly by Jesus as well. Walls of Jericho, the city that fell without a touch. In the place now called Tel-e-Sultan, near the modern city of Jericho, there is a small hill deeply submerged below sea level. It stands quietly, but beneath its ground lies a mystery that has been talked about for thousands of years. Here lies Jericho, the very first city in the world with strong walls. And here you can also find very unique evidence. The walls of Jericho fell inward, not outward. It's as if an invisible hand pushed them from the inside. This detail is complete in the Bible, and it's surprising how much it matches the discoveries. In ancient times, God gave Joshua a plan that no soldier would ever think of. A plan that wasn't about the sword, but about obedience. They walked around the city for 6 days, along with the armed men, the priests carrying trumpets made of ram's horns. And at the center of the procession was the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest representing the presence of God. On the 7th day, they marched around 7 times, and when the people shouted and the priests blew the trumpets, the wall collapsed. This is not just a story. The ruins left an exact mark showing that the city fell quickly. The enemy had no time to loot or to take any treasures. Even the grain containers, one of the most valuable treasures during wartime, remained intact. The Israelites avoided these because God told them not to touch anything set apart as holy for him. Joshua also declared a curse. Anyone who tries to rebuild Jericho will bring disaster upon his family. And after many centuries, when Hiel of Bethel tried to rebuild the city, his children died, exactly as it was said in the prophecy. But beyond the fall of the wall, there were many more important events that happened in Jericho. Here, the prophet Elisha made the city's bitter water sweet using only salt. Here, Jesus Christ healed Bartimaeus, the blind man who repeatedly called out to him. And on the dangerous road to Jericho, the story of the Good Samaritan took place. The man who helped the victim abandoned by everyone. In 2023, this place was declared a World Heritage Site, a recognition of its archaeological and spiritual significance. And until now, the excavation continues. Layers of soil are removed one by one, and little by little, the secrets of Jericho are revealed. Secrets concealed for millennia are finally being revealed to the world. Next, Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities that burned from the sky. South of the Dead Sea, on the border of Israel and Jordan, there is a vast desert filled with ash and salt. No life, no plants, and exposed to the sun. Here lies the place believed to be the location of the 2 most sinful cities in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah. According to the scriptures, God destroyed these cities with fire and brimstone that fell from the sky as punishment for their wickedness. But did they really exist? In the excavations of archaeologists, they found evidence that is mind-blowing. In Babed Hadra, a city spanning 10 hectares, they discovered a 30-inch layer of ash. It's too thick to be called an ordinary fire. They also discovered bricks nearly melted by heat and bones reduced to ash. For that to happen, you need a temperature that exceeds 600 degrees. That's even hotter than most natural fires in the world. And it doesn't end there. In Numera, a city near Bab-edra, the same thing happened. Complete destruction. There's also evidence of a powerful earthquake that happened along with the fire. The combination of heat and shaking suggests an event that was extremely violent and not just natural. But there's a twist to the story. In 2025, the same scientific journal retracted its own report. The reason was that the date didn't match the Bible. According to the scriptures, the destruction happened around 2350 before Christ, which is older than the age determined by some studies. Despite this, 3 miles from those ruins stands a mountain now called Mount Sodom, or Jabal Uzdum. At its peak, you can see a towering pillar of salt, shaped like a human, which is still called Lot's wife to this day, a reminder of the story that enveloped the place. And the prophets did not forget. Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel used Sodom as an example of warning for future generations. Even Jesus said it was the same in the days of Lot. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is like ashes carried by the wind. The city disappeared, but the lesson remained. Mount Sinai, where fire touched the mountain. In the southern part of the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, there is a rocky mountain that has hardly changed, even after 3,000 years. It is quiet as if guarding the desert. This is the place long believed to be Mount Sinai, where Moses received the tablets of the law from God. According to the Bible, the mountain was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. But there is a big question that still hasn't been fully answered. Is this really the mountain mentioned in the Bible? Tradition says yes. This mountain is known as Jabal Musa, which means Mount of Moses. An ancient Egyptian papyrus from 2000 before Christ has the name TNHT, which resembles the word Sinai. This suggests that the region was already called by that name before Moses arrived. There's a cave at the top of Jabal Musa. Some believe that this is the place where the prophet Elijah hid hundreds of years after the time of Moses. And on the rocks of the mountain, ancient carvings called graffiti from the 4th to 7th century AD were also found. They were written by pilgrims who traveled here over the course of 1,600 years. At the foot of the mountain stands the monastery of St. Catherine, the oldest monastery still in use today. But there's a question that's often asked: has any clear evidence of an Israelite camp been found on this mountain? The answer is no. No clear traces of a city, temple, or permanent dwelling have been found. But this shouldn't be surprising. The Israelites were nomadic back then. They walked, moved often, and didn't build sturdy houses. They also made most of their belongings from leather, wood, or cloth. These are materials that easily decay in the desert, and the desert itself is harsh. They were able to return because of what happened. That's how it is. It's something that gives hope to researchers. Proto-Sinaitic inscriptions have been discovered. Ancient carvings on stone from 1,500 to 1,200 before Christ. They used an early version of the Semitic alphabet. This shows that there were people who knew how to write in that region during the time of the Exodus. This is not yet solid evidence, but it is a clue, a hint that the story might be more true than some people think.